Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back in the Porsche 718, the Cayman GT4. This time the track guide is at Imola, and if you have any questions, do let me know in the comments. As always, if you're new to my channel, what we do is a hot lap followed by a breakdown lap, and we are back in the cockpit one final time, the driving line on. For this lap, track conditions were 55%. It is the track conditions from the schedule for this week, and we did start on warm tyres and 20 litres of fuel at the start of the hot lap. It's the only way that I can sort of mix it between the fixed and the non-fixed setups, because obviously these guides have to cover both. Anyway, let's start the hot lap. Let's do this. So we're smashing it down the main straight. We don't change up until quite late in the Cayman from 5th to 6th. And we're looking for this entrance road on the right-hand side, braking up to about 85%, dropping it down to 3rd gear, back on the gas. We are now flat here through turn 3. We are flat again through turn 4. Now we're looking for just before the 50, braking briefly up to about 55%, down to 3rd gear, on the gas as early as possible. Keep some part of your car on the track there. Looking for the 50, braking again up to about 65%, down to 2nd gear, trying to get on the gas as early as possible, getting that rear rotated. As we go up the hill and in towards Piratella, looking for the 50 on the right hand side, braking briefly up to about 60%, down to 3rd gear, exit wide, get back over to left hand side, looking for the 50 board on the left as we're there, braking up to about 30%, now braking harder as we straighten the wheel, down to 2nd gear, on the gas. Got to keep some part of your right hand tyres on the track there, always challenging. Looking for the 50 board as we go into Alta, braking hard, down to 2nd, back on the gas, brake, back on the gas, got some air there, keeping your left-hand tyres slightly on the track. I've only got 2 more braking zones to go, and one of them's nothing to speak of. But we're looking for the 100-metre board, braking up to about 80%, down to 2nd gear, back on the gas, tiny dab of the brakes, we're in 3rd gear, back on, exit nice and wide. And over and across the line we go in a 1:49.6. Right, let's do the breakdown. Okay, we'll charge through the breakdown lap. First braking marker on the right hand side, it's this access road. I'm going to brake briefly up to about 85%. We're now going to trail it off down to the apex. I'm using the pause button because that doesn't interrupt the graph, whereas going slow forward does. We're now fully back on the gas, and we're going to remain that way all the way through this section. Got to keep some part of our car on the track at all times. Excuse me. Now looking for the 50-metre board. So as you see, it's just coming up now. I've started braking. I brake briefly up to about 60%. I'm going to trail that off down to the apex. Now I'm here. I'm back on the gas very briefly. Straighten my wheel and I start braking again. This time up to about 30%. And I'm looking to try and get back onto full gas as soon as I can. I'm nearly there at the apex. Exiting wide, keeping the right-hand side of your car on the track. Looking for this 50 board. I'm going to start braking now, briefly up to about 65%. Now we're going to trail it off all the way down to 2nd gear, and we're back on again. 73% gas at the apex. Back up to 100% mid-corner. Sorry, mid-track. Go up the hill. Looking for the 50 board. So as we get there now, we're going to start turning in. We lightly go, well, briefly go on the brakes up to about 55%. Trail that off down to the apex. So as I'm hitting the curb now, I'm at 20%. Now I'm getting on the gas, just right where I'm at the apex. Back up to 100. Again, we're going to use the 50 board. So as we get there, we'll briefly brake up to about 25% it was. Now at this apex, I do a tiny little dab of gas. I'm sure it's actually pointless, but what I'm looking to do is straighten the car out, braking up to about 50%, trail it off, and now we want to be getting back on the gas at the apex again. Exit wide, got to keep some part of your right-hand tyres on the track. Looking for the 50 board. As we get there, we're going to start braking briefly up to about 85%, sorry. We're back on the gas in second gear at the first apex. And then we're back on the gas again as we're jumping over the second one. Got to keep some part of your car on the track at all times. Now it's the 100-meter board. So just as we get there, as you see now, I'm braking. I brake up to about 80%. I'm still wiping all that speed off in the straight line. Now, as I trail off on the brakes, I can turn in. You want to be clipping this corner. I've dropped it down to second gear, and I've started to get back on the gas. I get up to 100% as I straighten the wheel on exit. Tiny dab on the brakes. And then again, cutting that corner, back on 100% at the apex. Exiting wide, as always, keeping some part of the car on the track. And there you have it. So that's the breakdown. We've got one final version coming up next with the driving line on without me talking, and I'll turn up all the engine and wheel noises.